So here's my understanding of what's going on with the COVID relief bill. So both the House and the Senate, and then the House again, have passed their budget resolution, which opens it up for budget reconciliation. So we're making progress, and that's good, and that's also bad, of course, because it's our government. Let me go ahead and just kind of get you through this article. It's on CNN. So it reads, quote, both chambers of Congress have now passed a budget resolution, a key procedural step that sets up the ability for Democrats to pass President Joe Biden's sweeping $1.9 trillion COVID relief package without the threat of a filibuster from Republicans who oppose it. The Senate passed the budget resolution early Friday morning, 51-50, on a party line vote that after Vice President Kamala Harris showed up at the Capitol to break the tie. The House passed the resolution later in the day on Friday. The House had already passed the budget measure earlier the week, but because it was amended in the Senate, it needed to go back to the House for a final vote. Passage in the Senate followed hours of voting on amendments in an exhausting ritual known as, quote, vote-a-rama, when senators can theoretically offer as many amendments to the budget resolution as they desire. Those amendments largely serve as a way for each party to force the other side on the record about controversial issues, and most of the GOP amendments were defeated. So, after reading this article, I was 30% glad, but 70% disappointed, and I'm just going to go ahead and explain to you why. So, again, I'm 30% okay with what's going on, but 70% disappointed, I would say. The first reason is that Democrats finally have the balls and start the budget reconciliation process to pass a COVID relief bill without Republican help. Honestly, knowing the Democrats and knowing Joe Biden, this could have been so much worse, because the other option was to try to pass a bill through the House and Senate floor where it could have been stopped by a filibuster. This would have required the Democrats to craft a bill where all 50 of them and 10 Republicans would have agreed. Not only would this have possibly taken longer because of negotiations, but it would have probably been something so horrendously shitty that it would have ultimately defeated the purpose of trying to get anything passed. Now, I don't mean to shit on congressional Republicans, but we have proof from the last few COVID relief bills. What did they want in the last few bills? Less unemployment benefits, a smaller check for working class, and the largest transfer of wealth that this country has ever seen. That's what the Republicans passed. That's what they passed under President Trump, and what the Republicans have been trying to do for the COVID relief bills. They want less and less for people like us, and they want more and more for their filthy rich donors. So it's good that the Republican amendments were mostly shut down. They were shut down. And also that the Democrats are foregoing Republican support to pass something. I'm glad. Something else I'd like to discuss here is that there was something called the vote-a-rama. First of all, I think that's a cool name. The vote-a-rama sounds like Futurama, and I love that show. But the vote-a-rama is where senators can offer as many amendments to the bill as possible. There were a few noteworthy amendments from this vote-a-rama. Apparently, most of the Republican amendments were defeated. Again, that's good. I don't know what they were, but based on the last relief bills and proposals, the rejection of their proposals has to be mostly good. But here's a few things that did pass. They passed means testing for relief checks. They rejected raising the minimum wage to $50 an hour by 2025. And oddly enough, they shot down an amendment from Tom Cotton that would have prevented expanding the Supreme Court. I have mixed feelings about this. First of all, you should not means test COVID checks. You should give everybody $2,000 and then tax them later if they're filthy rich. That makes the process a lot easier, and it makes the money go out a lot faster, and people don't have to fight over the lines. And also, just deciding how much to give each person is it's kind of going bad, because some people say 50,000, you only get 1,400 at 50,000. Some people say you only get 1,400 at 75,000 a year. which for some people who don't earn that anymore, they need that money. They do. So just give them their fucking checks. I'm disappointed that they rejected raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, that there were not enough votes from the Democrats to do that, because it would have been, 50 plus one. So I think Joe Manchin voted against it, and I think Kristen Sinema voted against it. So, there are those two assholes that prevented us from doing it. And I'm kind of glad that they didn't reject the idea of expanding the Supreme Court, because quite honestly, the Republicans with the Supreme Court have been so filthy. They've been playing such filthy politics that, that should be a threat. The Democrats should threaten expanding the Supreme Court. If it was me, I probably would expand the Supreme Court. It's not unconstitutional, only because of the dirty shit that the Republicans have been doing under Obama and under Trump. And my third point is where things get incredibly disappointing, because according to the article, they say, quote, "The budget resolution that passed is not the COVID relief bill. It simply sets the stage for Democrats to be able to use the process known as budget reconciliation to pass a relief bill on party line, possibly in late February or March, after the impeachment trial of former President Donald Trump is complete in the Senate," end quote. This disappoints me, because I remember when, John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, I remember when they were running for Senate, and they said, Joe Biden said this too, by the way. He said $2,000 next week, when they get elected. I'm going to keep bringing this up. I really am, because it seems to be a theme of our Congress. They don't seem to be acting with the urgency when it comes to helping the American people. What a responsible Congress does is they take care of the people, then they impeach the president or do whatever the fuck else they're going to do. But because we live in America, the first thing they're going to do is focus on impeaching the president, and then we get our help. Imagine if you're calling the police for help. Someone broke into your house. They might shoot you, but they definitely will steal your shit. You don't know. The police says, don't worry, I'll be there next month. We've got a hearing for our disgraced police chief. Wouldn't you fire that police officer? Wouldn't you wonder why the fuck other police officers didn't respond with urgency? That's where we are right now. We are in an emergency. There's really, really crazy high unemployment numbers. There's a lot of hungry people who can't even afford to pay rent. There's a lot of people who lost their health care because they lost their job in the pandemic. We're in need of help now. Congress needs to get its shit together and pass the fucking relief bill before any political circus. I get it. I get it, dude. Impeaching is important, but take care of your people first, please. And for those of you who are still listening, thank you. Thank you for making it this far, because it kind of became an angry fest. And do not let your congressperson off the hook for not trying to expedite this. Do not let them be the bystanding police officer who does nothing while your house is getting robbed. Look them up. Look up your congressperson. I'll leave a link below. It'll give you their phone number, and it'll also give you an address to write a letter to them. If there's enough people, and I know this personally, if there's enough people that call on a very specific issue, they will pay attention. Remember, your votes is what gives these people their jobs, and now, every now and then, sadly, we have to remind them.